This is a tutorial on how to do a hypothesis test for proportion in Minitab. Now, in this example, we'd be using the data from the previous page of the packet, and in my edition of the packet, that is page 171, but that might be slightly different if you're using a different edition of the packet. So the first thing we need to do is click on Stat, Basic Statistics, and then One Sample Proportion. Now, as we said in a previous video, with proportions, you're not likely to have all of your data in a column, so we're just going to do summarized data. And from the previous page, we can see that the number of successes are 1,552, and the number of trials is 2,504. So we enter those as below. Now we want to do a hypothesis test, right? So we have to click on hypothesis test. And our hypothesized proportion, we are going to do 37% or 0.37 here. And now we need to go to options. Now, for our confidence level, we're just going to keep it as 95 for 95% confidence. But for this example, we want to do the proportion is greater than the hypothesized value. Now, this might change depending on which type of proportion hypothesis test and confidence interval you want to do. But for this case, we'll be doing proportion is greater than hypothesized proportion. Now, make sure you double check what the instructions say to make sure that you're doing the correct alternative hypothesis. Then for method, we want to change it to normal approximation. Click OK, and then we will click OK again. As you can see, we now have our test and our confidence interval for proportion. And the sample proportion, which is, p hat, is 0.61 approximately, which you see right here. And that's listed under the sample p. The 95% lower bound for p is also shown since this is a one-tailed test, and we have that here. The z value, which is 25.89, is our z-calc, and the p-value is less than 0.0001, as you can see here, because it's 0.000. So that means it's very, very, very small. To reach a conclusion for your hypothesis test, you simply have to compare the p-value to your chosen alpha level. So, if you remember, our alpha level is 0.05, and our p-value is less than 0.0001. So, that means our p-value is less than our alpha value, which means you reject the null hypothesis. Now, if our data is not already summarized, you do not have x and n, or if it is in one column that indicates the two options, for example, 0 and 1 or yes and no, you can select the other option of the data is in a column, and you can do that as well to get your hypothesis test.